Hello and welcome to Business Today Television. I'm Siddharth Zarabi and we have some breaking news at this point of time. The season of layoffs at big tech continues. Once behemoths where everyone aspired for a job, and now job cuts. I'm talking about the latest announcement by Meta, Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, where he has announced that over 11,000 employees in that company are going to be laid off. And this unfriending of colleagues by Mark Zuckerberg comes days after Elon Musk wielded the sword and in fact some would say acts in a very brutal manner across Twitter's global operations, where close to 50% of the employees of Twitter were sacked. And that's been a double-edged sword for the operations of the world's most prominent microblogging company. And there are reports that people are being reached out by Twitter HR and they are being asked to join back because they were laid off, and it was subsequently realized by the company that there is a big problem in the lack of people in crucial departments. But the news of the moment is Facebook, and Facebook's decision to lay off people is a very, very significant one. I'm going to read what Mark Zuckerberg has said, and these are the crucial points from his statement. He has said that this is the most difficult change in Meta's history. The size of the team of Meta is being reduced by about 13%, which is well over or just over 11,000 employees. He's also said, Zuckerberg has also said that he's taking a number of additional steps to become leaner and more efficient. Discretionary spending is being cut, and the hiring freeze is being extended through the first quarter, which means the first quarter for American companies is January, February, March, because they work on a calendar year financial year versus India, where the first quarter overseas is actually the fourth quarter of the Indian financial year ending March 31. So till March, Facebook or Meta is not going to hire any more staff, and this will come after a 13% cut, which one perhaps understands is likely to be implemented very soon. He says that he's taking accountability for these decisions and that this is a tough situation for everyone, and he's finally ended by saying sorry to all those who have been impacted. So the season of big tech layoffs continuing. Second major big tech social media platform, in fact the largest social media platform in some ways, Facebook, Meta, going in for what was considered unthinkable and unprecedented at any of the big tech companies, which for more than a decade have enjoyed a massive increase. And even during COVID, we saw the massive explosion in demand and consumer adoption for overall social platforms, with a significant pivot towards video. Facebook has had its own problems over the last several years, and a massive amount of spending that Mark Zuckerberg has done on what he believes is his vision for what the future will look like, which is the metaverse, and the name of that company, Meta, coming in accordingly. That metaverse has consumed billions of dollars in terms of investments, and analysts and experts are questioning Zuckerberg about the logic of that massive investment and whether it will deliver returns. But at this stage, we'll pause, and I just want to sort of recap and end by saying that it's clear that the end of 2022, the month of November, is going to be remembered in the annals of big tech and social platforms for years to come. Twitter, its staff decimated. We also have Ayush Ailavadi, my colleague who is joining us from Boston. Ayush, what should we make of this latest round of layoffs that Zuckerberg has announced? Something that was unthinkable, a job at Facebook or a job at Twitter was considered the Uber job that you could aspire for in the big tech social world. And this has just been announced literally a little while ago. Zuckerberg saying sorry and saying that almost 13% of his colleagues will be unfriended in a way. What are you picking up from the headlines there?
Absolutely, Siddharth. You mentioned that this is unprecedented for a job which was so coveted and so sought after. It's really come like a bolt from the blue. But this seems like tech winter over here in Boston. It's quite chilly, quite, literally speaking. And I was at breakfast with a bunch of tech journalists who are covering FANG companies. And the conversations they've been having is that for the last few years, and especially the last year, it's been a complete turnaround, so to speak. If you consider Meta, like you said, a year ago from today, maybe last September, the headlines were that they have, really hit the 1 trillion mark. It's a $1 trillion company. And look how the tables have turned now a year later. Out here in the US, another thing that a lot of analysts have been talking about, and this is something that they shared with me recently as well, is the fact that if you look at what was happening maybe at the start of the year, yes, there were layoffs in tech companies, but they were restricted to maybe food and transportation or some particular sector within technology. Now, when you're looking at big tech and the FANG companies, it's happening across. So this is an industry-wise thing. We saw what happened with Snap. We saw what happened, of course, with Twitter. Now, with Twitter, it was Elon Musk and a U-turn, of course. But here, this seems like this is permanent. Of course, he's come up with a statement. 11,000 employees. That's 13% of Facebook or Meta's workforce.
Right.
And yes, and he has put out that message over there. But it is a chilly winter for tech, it seems, Siddharth.
Ayush, very quickly, one of the key reasons for this cost cutting exercise, and it's not just layoffs, it's also other belt tightening measures that
Correct.
Mark Zuckerberg has announced, is an eye-watering investment of $36 billion into a Meta division called Reality Labs, which is supposed to come up with a metaverse. And I was seeing lots of memes which said, what has all of this money led to? It's led to some sort of virtual metaverse avatars without any legs. Tell our viewers, is this going to prove to be the tech world's costliest ever bet that has sort of boomeranged on its founder?
It's interesting you say that, Siddharth, because boomerang is a feature which he bet on Instagram, quite literally, ironically, which did really well. Look, he acquired a bunch of companies in the past, and Facebook and Meta have sort of been accused in the tech world of being copycat with its features and lacking innovation. The metaverse was the big bet where we thought this sort of innovation from Mark Zuckerberg and Reality Labs would really come through. They purchased a company which would actually work, and as part of the same company you're mentioning, which would work on the hardware element, which would have been Oculus, to actually enter the metaverse. Google had tried doing this years ago in a different way in wearables with their Google Glass, but
Right.
that didn't pan out well for them either. This was the next step in virtual reality. This could be a very costly bet, you're right, Siddharth. But honestly speaking, there's a huge proponent and a group of people who believe that the metaverse is the future, Web3 is the future. But that's a lot more technical in terms of it being decentralized.
Absolutely,
That's the community we're trying
absolutely,
to tap
Ayush,
into.
and that subject of what is the future of the metaverse, and is Mark going to leave his mark on the metaverse, or is he going to rue the investments that he has made? For now, it's very clear that the F of the FANG has bitten the bullet, and hopefully, and one says this for all the employees who are affected, not just at Facebook but as well as at Twitter. Hopefully, there won't be any other companies which go down that path, especially the other big three in the FANG. Ayush Ailavadi, thank you very much for joining us live from Boston on that. We'll continue to track this big story as the Western world heads into Christmas. Christmas is not going to be good for many thousands of employees, and we don't have any details or numbers of how much the impact of this latest job cut at Meta will be felt on the Indian operations of Facebook. Remember, Facebook is a significant entity when it comes to subscribers. By different measures, it's very clear that Facebook has over 300 million user accounts in India. Some numbers actually put it at much higher by almost 25%, but there is a significant number of staff which run this operation, and one hopes for them that the Indian operations don't get impacted too badly. But it's very clear that this job cut at Facebook is going to be spread across the global operations, perhaps like Twitter. With that, it's a wrap on this breaking news update that we got to you on the big tech layoffs. We'll be back with more. Stay with us. Goodbye till then.